Hi guys! So today we're going to be looking at Chapter 5, Section 1 through Section 6 review. So let's get started with Section 1. So Section 1 is asking you to convert 3/8 into a decimal. And you're asked to round to the nearest hundredth place. So I'll give you a few minutes to work on this problem on your own first. Alright. So right here, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to rewrite 3/8 into a division symbol. So we have here 3 dividing with 8, so I'm going to write 3 dividing with 8 first. Now, if you remember from what Mr. Huang's hint was, he likes to use in and out. And that tells us what's going to be in the inside of the division sign and what's going to be on the outside. So the in is going to be the 3, so the 3 is on the inside, and the out is going to be the 8. Now, there's nothing that 8 can multiply by that would be small enough to get 3. So what I need to do is I need to make my number bigger. So I'm going to put a decimal point there, which also means I need to bring up that decimal point. And I need to think of a number that 8 can multiply to get close to 30. So I could use 3. If I use 3, I get 24. And then 30 minus 24, that equals to 6. I'm going to bring down another 0. I could use 7. That would give me 56. I'm still subtracting. And I get 4. Bring down another 0. Now I'm left with 40. So I get 5. So 5 times 8 equals to 40. So now that I have 0.375, I'm going to convert it by rounding it to the nearest hundredth place. So if I'm converting it by rounding to the nearest hundredth place, that means that I need to change that 7 number because that's in the hundredth place. So what I need to do first is look at the number next to 7. Since the number is 5, that means that I'm going to bring the number 7 up 1. So I'm going to change it to 0.38 instead, and that would be my answer. Okay, so let me clear it. And then let's continue on to the next question, which is adding and subtracting like fractions. Right here we're asked to subtract 5/9 minus 1/9. So I'll give you a few minutes to work on this problem on your own first. Okay, so right here we have 5/9 minus 1/9. Since we have the same denominators, that means that I can combine them together. So I'm left with 9 on the bottom. And I'm going to subtract the top numbers. So I'm going to subtract 5 minus 1. When I do that, 5 minus 1, that equals to 4. So now I'm left with 4/9. Now because I can't simplify that any further, that would be my ending answer, which is just 4/9. Okay, now we're going to look at adding and subtracting unlike fractions from section 3. So we're asked here to subtract the following fractions: 4/8 minus 7/32. So I'll give you a few minutes to work on this problem on your own first. Okay. So if we have here 4/8 minus 7/32, first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that my denominators here are the same number. So if that's the case, I need to find a number that multiplies to equal to 32. I do know that 8 times 4, that equals to 32. Now whatever I multiply on the bottom, I have to multiply on the top. So right here, 4 times 4 equals to 16. So now I'm left with 16/32. And it's going to subtract with 7/32. Now that I have the same denominators, I can combine those denominators together. Now I'm left with 16 minus 7. which equals to 9 over 32. And because I can't simplify anymore, that's going to be my answer in the end. Alright. Section 4 is multiplying fractions. Now we're asked here to simplify u to the power 2 times m to the power 3 times u over m to the power 2 times d to the power 4. And that's going to be multiplying with d to the power 4 over u to the power 5 times u to the power of 3. So for this one, let's try and work on it together. We have here u and our m and our u again. We also have on the bottom m and d. We also have on top here d and u and u. So the first thing I want to do here is see if there's anything that I could simplify over here. I know that right here for the top one, u to the power 2 times u, I could rearrange it so that those two are multiplying with each other. So if I do that, I get u to the power 2 times u times m to the power 3 over m to the power 2 d to the power 4 times u to the power d to the power 4. And then also here, I could combine the u to the power 5 times u to the power 3. So u to the power of 5 times u to the power 3, that equals to u to the power of 5 plus 3. Over here with the u to the power 2 and the u, that turns into u to the power of 2 plus 1. The m to the power 3 on the bottom here, and the d to the power 4. Over here we still have the d to the power 4 and the u to the power of 8 now. And so this part right here, we can change that into, instead, u to the power of 3, because we know that 2 plus 1 equals to 3. So after we do that, I'm just going to combine them all together. So we are left with u to the power 3, m to the power of 3, d to the power 4 on top. We also have on the bottom m to the power 2, d to the power 4, and u to the power of 8. Now if that's the case, let's start off by rearranging the bottom numbers so that they fit with the letters on top. So since u to the power 3 is on top, I'm going to move the u to the power 8 on the bottom of it. Since m to the power 3 is next to it, I'm going to put m to the power 2 on the bottom, below it. And since d to the power 4 is on top, I'm going to put the d to the power 4 on the bottom. Now, we know that whenever we see that there is the same letter and the same exponent, we know that equals to 1. So in a sense, I could just cross it out because I know that just equals to 1. Over here with the u to the power of 3 and u to the power of 8, we do know that u to the power of 8 is the bigger number. So because of that, I'm going to subtract the u to the power 3 on the bottom. And over here, with the m to the power 3 and the m to the power 2, since m to the power 3 is the bigger number, that means that I'm going to move the m to the power 2 on the top, and they're going to subtract with the m to the power 3. So we get here m to the power 3 minus 2, and we also have here u to the power of 8 minus 3. So now my answer is going to be left as m to the power 1 over u to the power of 5. And that would be my end answer. Okay? Cool. So let me clear this. We have here dividing fractions. It's asking us to divide 6 over 10 divided by 2 over 7. So I'll give you a few minutes to work on this problem on your own first. Okay, so we have here 6 over 10 dividing with 2 over 7. Now if that's the case, what I need to do is with the 6 over 10, I need to first start off by multiplying, changing that division sign to a multiplication sign. And then on the right fraction, I need to flip it. So instead of having 2 over 7, it's going to be 7 over 2. And then after that, I could just see if there's anything I can simplify. So it looks like right here with the 6 and the 2, I could simplify it by dividing both numbers by the number 2. If I divide both numbers by 2, I'm left with 6 divided by 2, that equals to 3. 2 divided by 2 equals to 1. So I'm left with 3 over 10 times 7 over 1. And so we get left with 3 times 7 over 10 times 1, which is just 21 over 10. To change it into a mixed number. So if I'm going to change into a mixed number, that means that I need to divide the 21 and the 10. So 21 goes on the outside, 10 goes on the, oops, sorry, wrong way. The 10 goes on the outside and the 21 goes on the inside. And from there, I do know that 2 times 10 equals to 20. So my remainder is going to be 1. So since my remainder is 1, the remainder goes on the numerator. The 10 still stays on the bottom, and the whole number is going to be 2. And so this would be my end answer. Cool. Let's go on to the last problem. Last problem is asking us to use multiplicative inverse to solve the equation. So we're asked to solve the equation here, 1 over 6 equaling to negative 5 over 3 times v. So let's go over this one together. We have here 1 over 6 equaling to negative 5 over 3 times v. If this is the case, what I want to do is I want to look at what's happening here. So I know that this fraction right here is multiplying with the v. So since they are multiplying, right? We want to complete the opposite operation. So the opposite operation of multiplying is dividing, which means that I want to divide both sides by negative 5 over 3. Now this looks like an ugly fraction, right? So let's rewrite it to make it nicer. We have here 1 over 6, and it's dividing by negative 5 over 3. And this side, it cancels out, so we're just left with v. And so it just becomes a division fraction to solve. So right here, again, I need to change it so that this division sign turns into multiplication. And then I also need to flip this fraction. I'm still keeping that negative sign though, so we get left with negative 3 over 5 equaling to v. And so right here, 1 times negative 3 over 6 times 5. That equals to negative 3 over 30, which if we were to simplify that, I could divide both numbers by 3. And that would equal to negative 1 over 10. And so that would be what v equals to, is negative 1 over 10. So that would be my end answer. So hopefully this helps. Good luck.